Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. This is going to be the second part of this video topic about how my Filipina wife and I make up quickly after a fight. And I would ask you to please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea if you're looking for information on relationships, even marriage. I think that's the best way with a woman from overseas. A lot of similarity between different countries, outside of the West. And I married a Filipina back in 2015, early on in this marriage, about 10 years ago. When we had conflicts, it was more about, who of us was right about certain petty things. I can recall times my wife probably hadn't developed trust in me yet. I mean, we knew each other less than 8 weeks before getting married. This is understandable when getting married so soon. Not getting married too young, because in our case, I was older and I had thought for many years about marriage and at least had that experience going for me. I believe that helped make it through the early years. Both of us had to learn to be patient with each other. Please be patient. That's a big thing. I think it's possible that two people from a very long distance relationship would try extra hard to work on the marriage because they realize the risks that are involved and the expenses, as well as that visa wait down the line, and want to prove to other people that they made the right choice. Whether it was how the dishwasher would be loaded, to anything having to do with the arrangement of our place, furniture and the like. I learned not to interfere. How we wash clothes, we even do that differently. And sometimes, as people, we're just going to do things the way we want to do them, no matter what. I tried not to belabor my opinion and tried not to come across as controlling. We have a few guidelines in our marriage, such as that we should talk about big financial decisions with each other before we do anything. And of course, keeping in touch with usually now Viber or texting. But a big one is if I will try to defer to her whenever possible. Let her do what she wants to do for her own happiness and well-being. But if there comes a time we just cannot decide together, come to some conclusion without a lot of conflict, then I think she, at that point, has to allow me to make the decision, or we never will make the decision. And I try to make the wisest decisions I can, and that includes getting advice from other people. Hopefully then, it's easier for her to agree with me. Now, we have to analyze if situations like that are even worth arguing about, and if so, to what degree. As our relationship has grown over these almost 10 years, I have learned to treat my Isa the same daily, whether we've had some kind of an argument or not. I want her to see that an argument isn't going to make me care less for her. I try not to change how I touch her or compliment her or act around her. Kind of have my regimented routines. I always say I love you in the morning and I love you before we go to bed. I know that's harder to do if you've had a big fight, but I think it's important to be consistent. At 63 years old now, I should expect a lot of myself in this relationship. Whatever we have experienced, has helped us to survive and make it and give us hope for the future. By now, I think both of us know more about ourselves as we have learned about how we are together and about each other. And I'd like to think we have a quiet confidence that whatever the issue was in the most recent clash, that we are not going to let it fester for long. I find going to bed a good time for me to pray for us, since I know we have cooled off at least a little bit. And I need to avoid wanting to be on the attack. I also frequently remind myself how much I love her, and I think about our love story and want it to continue for the rest of my life. I haven't even mentioned forgiveness. That is so critical. You're both going to need it. As the head of the relationship, I think the husband should be the one to teach and model forgiveness in the relationship. Now, I'm not saying we never go to bed upset, you know, arms crossed, on separate sides of the bed. Normal that these things happen, but you do have to make up fairly quickly. So, some of the highlights from this video, and please, I always forget to say, leave a comment about making up what you've learned from that situation if you've been with a Filipina. Highlights: don't argue about petty things. Don't let arguments become personal, and name calling and being critical. Make up quickly. Let her get acclimated when she's coming to be with you. Give her space to feel sad about being away from the Philippines. Put yourself in her shoes. It'd be hard for me to do. Don't be demanding. Focus on getting to know each other and making her feel loved. As she adjusts, view her opening up about what upsets her as a good sign. She might be afraid to talk about these things early on. It probably means she is comfortable enough to engage you in something, argumentative, but that has to be resolved. Never resort, of course, to calling names or insults or, even worse, physical contact. Tell her in different ways how important she is to you and how wonderful she is. Be constructive. If you have something critical to say, although still nobody likes that anyway, defer to her whenever possible. Analyze if a situation is even worth arguing about and to what degree. Try to treat her the same as you would if you weren't clashing about something. Pray about it. Remind yourself how much you love her and that you want your love story to continue for the rest of your life. Take the lead. Talk to her about the need for both to be forgiving. That's how I try to diffuse fights with my Love Beyond the Sea.